Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Captain America issue 12, written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. and letters by Joe Caramagna. Captain America takes on the forces of hell as in the aftermath of Cap being put into a coma by Red Hulk, Tony Stark demands the doctors tell him how much it will cost to get his friend back up and running. The doctor reminds Stark that Steve isn't some car or one of his Iron Man armors. He can't just replace parts, and while they have stabilized him, they just need to give him some time, since Steve's unique physiology means he heals quick, but the downside of that is that he has erratic reactions to the drugs that they are trying to give him thanks to the super soldier serum, thinking that they are poisons being put into his system. Tony apologizes as Sharon comes by, not saying a word and instead heading straight into Steve's room. See, I love the idea that thanks to the serum in Steve's body, modern medicine just can't work for him. He can't take, morphine to, help an injury or something like that because the serum thinks it's some sort of foreign entity in his bloodstream and wants it out. It's not something of the formula. So I really like that idea that he just can't take normal medicine. It must be hell when he gets like a headache or something if he can't pop a Tylenol or something. Sharon finally sees the comatose Steve and Tony consoles her as in hell. Steve tells Dr. Doom he doesn't believe that any of this is actually real. Doom knows that this is indeed the underworld and Steve is alive and well inside of it. The hero knows that this is the real deal Dr. Doom, figuring that this is some game as Doom has his underling Veritok create Steve some clothing as he tells the hero that he's not quite dead yet, but he's on the brink of dying. Doom takes off his mask, revealing that his face is healed in hell, revealing that his time as Sorcerer Supreme taught him much, like how to bind his silver cord, the invisible thread that connects one body's soul to another, and when he died, he attached his own cord to Steve, surprised that the hero tugged on that cord so soon after his own death. Doom's always got some plan in motion, and I like that this one is building off the relationship Zdarsky set up between Doom and Steve across the early issues of this series. Doom saw a lot of himself in Steve and even admired Captain America to a point. So it's fun seeing them getting to play with that dynamic even more, especially now because it's in the present day. So they've had like years and years of like fighting each other and all this other stuff to build on what we saw in those early issues of the Captain America run, which were set in the past. So I'm really intrigued to see how their dynamic is going to evolve across this little arc. Steve thinks that he's playing some type of game and he intends to beat Doom at it, quite literally, as he punches Doom in the face, which causes Veritok to attack, revealing her creepy multi-fingered lower torso that reminds me a lot of the enemies, the finger creepers in Elden Ring. Steve fights back against the demon, but when Veritok grabs him, it burns her hand, confusing the villain as Doom reveals that Steve is a pure soul, whose naivete means that he is noble on a cosmic scale down in hell. Because of Steve's nature, he has become Doom's protector and champion in hell. Steve knows that this is the game Doom is intending to play, as the villain reveals that if someone dies in Mephisto's realm, they simply cease to exist, and Doom believes that he doesn't deserve this, nor do any of the other occupants of hell, like Veritok. Doom thinking that he doesn't deserve to be in hell is just peak Doom ego at play. Like, of course he believes that completely. Of course, right down in his heart, he believes he is completely innocent, which then, because it works in his favor, because when he believes that, because it's so utterly true to him, it becomes fact to him, so it makes it so that he isn't meant to be in hell. It's that weird sort of like technicality that Doom plays with a lot, where of course he's an evil guy, like he has done some really evil shit over the number of years he's been around, and of course he deserves to be in hell, but because he doesn't believe so, it's not the case. It's so fucking cool. I love that we have this character here who's just so egotistical that he does not believe that his actions deem him worthy of hell. It's so fucking cool. He also seems to be repeating the cycle that he once did in Latveria, which is he saw an uprising and took over from the old king of Latveria. So he's doing that in hell now with Mephisto. He's kind of just playing the greatest hits that he knows will work, and he's using Steve now as a tool in that machine, which is very interesting. I mean, I'm intrigued to see if Steve is going to realize that. Like, he knows Doom is playing some type of game, and I'm hoping he's going to realize that, hey, no, you tried this before and it didn't work back then and it's not going to work now. Doom reveals that while he will lead the uprising, his powers aren't what they used to be, and these creatures of hell need a light to guide them, and that light shall be Captain America. Steve rightly tells Victor to go to hell, as elsewhere, Mephisto tells his scribe Jan Lox he is unhappy. The scribe rushes to tell him that the legions are scouring hell for Doom, and they will be found. Mephisto is glad, but knows that Doom's soul is more than human. Doom is the one who played at being a god, and he has cheated him before, but he won't be getting away this time. The art here for Mephisto is so sick, specifically the part where he's walking across this bridge made up of the flying demon corpses that are literally falling at his feet to make this bridge he is crossing. Like, that's so damn metal, that's so fucking cool. Jan Lox lets slip that there is another soul in hell too, and Mephisto looks at his books, finding the soul is so bright even Doom cannot hide it, and it's a soul he is familiar with. Steve meanwhile journeys through hell, tormented by a giant fly who laughs at him. Steve can't believe he's actually in hell, thinking about how he may never see his friends and family again. Suddenly he's ambushed by a tree monster which begins to drag him into the ground as the fly creature continues to laugh at his despair. Steve quickly realizes his negative thoughts are what's doing this, and they are literally dragging him down because in hell these become real. He grabs a nearby chain, pulling him out of the ground as he girds himself by remembering that he's actually still alive out there and General Ross is endangering people and he needs to help them. Steve moves on and quickly comes across a man being eaten alive by crows. He quickly waves off the birds as the man weakly asks if he is there to hurt him, not thinking that he deserves Steve's aid. The man mournfully asks about his wife and son and how he wasn't meant to be driving at the time, but before Steve can speak to him, a giant gross monster called Azrophron appears. Angered, Steve stopped the man's punishment. I'm absolutely loving Valerio Schitti's depiction of hell across this issue because it's just this gross Hellraiser Cenobite monster filled place. It looks fantastic, and it's an also really fun change of pace for Steve, who's usually fighting, soldiers, military guys, costumed villains, or, more grounded threats, not literal demon monsters in hell. Steve attacks the demon, finding he is able to hurt it greatly as he tells the monster that he's just a man who doesn't care for bullies. He smashes Azrophon in the face and knocks it out, going to free the man, learning that his name is Terry, who thinks that this is just some type of trick since it's been a long time since he felt kindness. Okay, so I don't think this has been confirmed at all or anything, and this is just wild speculation that I've seen others also make, and it's something that I kind of connected the dots with briefly after some scouring of the internet as well. But I think this guy is Terry Long, a DC character from the early 70s and 80s who dated Donna Troy and was killed in a car accident along with his son, who was the son of Donna Troy. Everything this guy is saying kind of adds up to that. He even kind of looks like what Terry looked like back in those comics. Also, if this is the case, that's really funny because this guy was clearly I think it was Marv Wolfman who wrote him, was very clearly a self-insert character who was dating, and at the time, 19-year-old Donna Troy, while this guy was meant to be, I think, in his early 30s, and I think he's being punished for that, and I find that very, very funny. Terry says that he existed for so long in pain that he just gave up, and he needs to make his life mean something again. Doom arrives, telling Steve that this is why they are rising up, to prevent what happened to Terry to happen to anyone else, and he wants people to have control over their own destinies and redemption. Doom tells Steve that while they have been on opposing sides many times, they both cannot stand by and watch this suffering. Steve finally agrees with Doom, deciding to join him, Veritok, and now Terry in taking back hell from Mephisto. Back on Earth, Sam comes by to see Sharon and Steve, telling Sharon that while Steve didn't say it outright, he knows that he and Sharon were a thing. Sharon tries to joke about Steve being put up in that bed because he didn't want to talk about their relationship, but ends up breaking down crying, not wanting their last conversation to have been about them maybe breaking up. Sam consoles her, knowing that Steve is going to get through this since there is too much for him to fight for still. Steve and his group meanwhile continue their journey deeper towards the Grey Valley, a section of hell that is home to Torvoz the Preacher. Veritok reveals that he is the demon who is against torture and preaches to his congregation about new ways forward. Steve wonders what the demon demon woman wants when they win, and the woman reveals that she believes that hell is for those who have done wrong and turned away from the light. But it shouldn't be the end of everything, and right now they are under a dictator's thumb, one who doesn't want them to change and wants the fear and pain. Veritok wants control of their destinies to be given back to them and a chance to return to the light and become better than they were before. This is a lot more characterization for this character I figured we get. I figured it was just going to be sort of like a kind of thug character for Doom to sort of like send out and like fight creatures. I didn't figure we'd be getting this sort of deep philosophical stuff with them wanting to like reform hell and make it something that people can come to for redemption. I think that's a really cool idea. I do think this woman has drunk a lot of the Doom Kool-Aid though, since literally everything she is saying is stuff that Doom once said when he was taking over Latveria. And guess what? He became a dictator then, and he's probably going to be one now. Steve tries to tell her that while on Earth, Doom was a murderer, dictator, and egomaniac, but Veritok is insistent that Doom saved her, and she saw into his soul and saw the nobility and belief that he is right. This is what I was saying before, where Doom fully believes that he is in the right. That's that egomaniac in him fully believing that he is in the right 100% of the time, and because of that, it's marked his soul in hell as someone who's not meant to be there. And I like that idea that they're playing with that here, with Zdarsky saying that, hey, you maybe like, because he so fully believes in himself and he's so full of himself with ego, that is what is actually saving him from actually being damned in hell. That's really interesting, and of course Doom would do that. That's totally something Doom would do. Doom tells Steve that he won't let anyone suffer under Mephisto's rule any longer, and he needs Mephisto beaten so he can return to Earth, but he is going to ensure that he leaves hell in better hands, revealing he's going to let Veritok rule it instead. So this demon is just going to be Doom's puppet, right? Like, he's going to actually be the one ruling through her. He's trying to evolve his old ways, but you can still see the cracks in the game. It's exactly like he did before, and I like that Steve is kind of beginning to see it. Like, he definitely is being swayed a little bit by the fact that he gets to save people and wants to save people, but I do feel like Steve does know that, okay, there's going to be more to this. The other shoe needs to drop, and that's probably what's going to happen once Doom eventually ends up wresting control of hell from Mephisto. The group press on, and Steve wonders if he is ready to literally defeat the devil, as elsewhere, Mephisto meets with one of his hunters, a being named Frenza, telling the bug woman that he wants Doom found, not destroyed. Frenza agrees to bring Doom in alive, eager to see Doom's torture at Mephisto's hand. Mephisto reveals that Doom travels with another soul, one that requires a special touch, and luckily he has a being on hand that can help, as the Red Skull enters the throne room, assuring Mephisto that Steve Rogers will be dealt with. Red Skull making a comeback is fantastic. I was eager to see what Zdarsky was going to do with him, because of course, like, it's a Captain America run. Red Skull has to appear somewhere in it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I like the design they got going here, where it's kind of just classic Red Skull, but he is kind of embracing his inner Cenobite while in hell. He's got a leather coat made from human flesh. It's a great look for the villain, and I'm looking forward to seeing him fighting Steve again. It's been a while, been a long time since they've actually gone head to head, but also because Zdarsky is putting it in a setting we've not seen Cap really in before, that really excites me, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Captain America issue 12 really kicks Steve's new adventure into overdrive, putting him in a really awesome new and exciting setting with a cool cast of characters, some of which, like Doom, who Zdarsky has been building out over the last 12 issues, and continues to do so in some really fascinating ways. I'm thoroughly enjoying Zdarsky exploring the cycles of violence and despotic rules through both Steve and Doom's eyes, and every time he comes back to it, it always feels like he's adding something to it, something really interesting, and I can't wait to see what he does with Doom this time around as we head back into Avengers Armageddon with Steve in the next couple of issues. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.